All right. Good morning and good afternoon, everyone. My name is Brian Dar, and I am a business process consultant here at Expium. I'm also a SAFe program consultant, and I've got a number of Atlassian certifications. I say that only to emphasize that if you have any questions about these products and these strategies that we're talking about today, you're more than welcome to send an email, find me on LinkedIn, and I'm happy to start a conversation around this. So first of all, thank you very much for joining today. I really hope you find the webinar to be of value and worthy of your time, and most importantly, full of helpful examples for your team. So let's get right into it. The way work gets done has changed this year. I've heard some experts describe 2020 as a decade of change occurring over the course of about 10 months. And if you're in HR, or any other business team for that matter, you have likely felt this. Some worse than others, but I think we've all been very impacted, particularly by the way work has changed. A couple of things to call out that have changed that I've noticed. You can't just walk to the next office or the next cube anymore to have a conversation. We can't gather around a bulletin board or a coffee machine anymore. Everyone seems to have extra processes and checklists, especially if they're closer to the front lines. So working on things like sanitation and contact tracing. And somehow, if you're in this industry that I'm in anyway, we have more meetings than ever before. And it all keeps changing faster every day. So you've got a lot on your plate. And you and I think everybody are working harder than before. So if you're someone that has struggled through this year, first of all, thanks for continually showing up. I know that HR in particular has had an entire second job added to them this year, and it's been really challenging, and maybe your team as well. So thank you for everything that you've been doing. Today, I would like to show you some tools and processes that will hopefully make your work life and possibly your personal life too easier, specifically by making work visible, providing clear next steps in processes for you and your team, making the work that you and your team do more collaborative, working with tools that are flexible to modify your processes as quickly as your environment changes. And I'm sure that 2020 and the dumpster fire that it is has been a great indication that set processes sometimes have to change really fast. And all of this, no matter what team you work for. So the title of this is obviously an agile approach to HR, but all of these examples apply to just about every business team that I can think of. So let's hop to the agenda. So today I'm going to do a very brief introduction about Agile and the processes around Agile. Then we're going to hop right into 4 in-depth examples of how to use tools to get more out of Agile processes. And then at the very end, we'll be doing a question and answer session. Excuse me. I'm also joined by our project coordinator, Heather Insulaco. She is monitoring the Q&A section of this webinar. So she'll be fielding any questions that you have in the background, and also curating a list of questions to ask, to answer, I should say, at the end of the webinar. So thank you, Heather, for what you're doing. All right, so let's dive right into Agile. Agile may have started with software in that industry, but now it is everywhere. Unfortunately, though, confusion still remains about what Agile really is. Some people think it's doing Scrum and 2-week iterations. Some people think it's definitely not for them. But honestly, a lot of it is stuff that you're probably already doing. You just haven't maybe thought of a name for it. Or maybe you are and you're totally Agile and you're just looking for some hints, which is great too. Specifically, an Agile mindset is not about doing more work in less time. It is about generating more value with less work. So basically, outcome is more important than output. It also responds to a central challenge of business, which is how to provide quick, continuous value at scale. Agile companies create small, self-organizing, and cross-functional teams designed to continuously provide new value for customers. They are also obsessed with delivering value to customers. And finally, they are constructed as a transparent network of individuals who collaborate towards the common goal of delighting their customers. So that last point is thinking about networks of people over hierarchies of people, because networks of people get things done. And also, just to reinforce, focusing on value, not just doing output for output's sake. And Agile mindsets come with a competitive advantage, which is why they've been so ubiquitous, and why more and more large companies are adopting them, because it's a faster way to respond to the market, and as a result, everybody else is trying to catch up to that faster way. So it can feel like an arms race. Specifically, you have an Agile competitive advantage when you are responsive to your customers, both internal and external, new hires and employees alike, external clients as well. Also, when you're responsive to regulation in your industry, when you're responsive to changes in the market, changes in the job market, all those things. You're also agile when you build quality into your process. So when you have guardrails and checks and balances through a streamlined process that prevent poor quality, whatever work widgets getting through. And lastly, you have a competitive advantage when you can deliver fast value, or value fast, I should say, shortening the time between need and delivery. And really important to that is that you don't have to deliver huge chunks of value at once. It can be small incremental pieces of value too. You don't have to build it all right away. All right, so how do we use these tools, or how do we apply these processes? That's how the Agile process works. There's a lot of components to it, but I think it makes more sense once we dive into the tools that will support those processes. And today we're going to be using or looking at a demo of Atlassian tools that will provide Agile processes for any team. Some of the Atlassian tools are here on this slide: Jira Software, Confluence, Jira Align, Trello, Bitbucket, Jira Service Management. You may have heard of some of them depending on your company or commercials that you've heard on the radio. These tools are ubiquitous, and they are likely already in your organization. A lot of times we wind up working with business teams who are ready to purchase and are then surprised to learn that the company already has these tools. Like, chances are IT definitely is already using one or more of these tools in your company. And therefore, it's really easy to get additional seats for your users. At that point, all the team needs to know is the knowledge of how to customize these tools for their needs. But if you don't have them, these tools aren't expensive, and they are really simple to get started with. There's no need to go to your VP of procurement to spin up a 10-user instance of any of these products. So what do these tools do? Well, specifically, they are designed for teams. Atlassian is all about working for teams and getting the most out of teams. They are all collaborative, flexible, and scalable tools. I know it's a lot of buzzwords, but it's really true. Jira, specifically, this top one, is a collaborative, flexible tool that helps you plan, track, and visualize work being done on your team, in your company. Basically automates reporting and allows a central place for people to come together and store information about their work. Confluence, the next one, is a collaborative wiki-style documentation tool. And if that doesn't make any sense right now, it will by the end of the webinar. Paired together, both of those allow you to work smarter and provide for knowledge sharing, collaborative design, tracking work to completion, and also really important, I think, is effortlessly reporting on that work to your stakeholders, like your boss or your clients or the CEO. There are more tools, but Jira and Confluence are the big ones that we're going to be focusing on today. And something to note that these are not a specific module in a service. They are a framework in which you can build exactly what you need for your team. So, and we're going to show how to do that momentarily live in the tools. It's also important to note that these tools are not a replacement for systems that you already have, like your HRIS, for example. Rather, these tools help fill in the gaps that your HRIS might not cover. They also allow you to update HRISs. They allow you to do team handoffs between tools. And if you don't have a process tool like an HRIS or anything else that is industry specific to your team, these are also a great foundation. You can also replace a lot of that information if you need to, if you don't already have a tool. So today we're going to look at 4 practical. The first one is going to be project management and reporting on those projects. The second example is going to be hiring and onboarding. The third will be the use of service desks for teams. And I guess a spoiler alert, they're not just for IT teams. Service desks are really for any team in a company. And if you don't know what it is, no problem. I'm going to show you. Lastly is documentation and centralization of team-related information into one tool. Slide down, check my notes. All right, so hopping into the first example, project management. So this example is aimed at PMO teams, HR teams, marketing teams, and any group of people that manages projects, and in particular more than one project. So what's the business problem that we're solving? Well, misalignment and well, basically when managing multiple projects or multiple people in a project, it's often difficult to keep track of the work that many team members are doing when there's lots of handoffs or when there's handoffs between multiple teams. Alignment usually comes in the form of standing meetings and mutual status reports. Additionally, things are often tracked in Excel and PowerPoint, which is not a bad thing. However, those tools can make collaboration and visibility a bit more difficult when you have many hands in the room. Additionally, another problem can be knowing if you have all the right information before starting a project. So the solution at high level is that we built, and what I'm about to show you is something we built for a client recently, is a system that makes project work visible. It is easily modified as the team and environment requires, like 2020, and it also automates reporting and basically cut down on our clients' standing meetings. We actually often work with teams that do nothing but meet all day, which makes it hard to get any work done. So using these tools made it a lot easier for them to get out of meetings and back to work. So let me show you the solution in the tools. So I'm going to get out of here and I'm going to hop over into Jira, which is this piece of software here. If you haven't seen it, don't worry. I'm going to explain a bit about it. If you have seen it, great. I'm going to come down to my work. And recently, as a member of a marketing team, I have been managing or working in a project that I'm calling Project Alpha. And what we see here is all of the information relating to Project Alpha that anybody might need to know. So I've got the project size, I've got the project background, the business objectives for the project, the scope of the project, assumptions of the project. And then down here, I've got associated work that I'm doing for the project. So I've got a milestone coming up. I've got multiple tasks. Obviously, there'd be a lot more work listed here in the real world. And some of these are sitting in to-do, some of them are done. Also up here, I've got information about people relating to the project. Vicky is the executive sponsor. I've got a couple of stakeholders as well. And then the assignee is the person responsible for carrying the project through. And then I've got information about, when is this project due? When do we expect to start? When do we expect to end? And I can add any other field to this as well if I need to get more information out there for people managing this project. This project also has a workflow. So this is the project that this is the workflow, I should say, that we built for one client. All of their projects start in a funnel. They then move into to-do, in progress, done. We also gave them a place to trash a project if they need to, and sometimes projects get placed on hold. So what we see here is anybody that wants to know about this project can come look at this page and see where the project is and everything else about it. I can also add more fields too if there's other information that we need to gather around this project. But this marketing team that I work on, we handle many projects. So I'm going to zoom out a level, out of one project and up to a view that's called a Kanban board and look at many projects. So here I have my project Kanban board, and now I'm seeing that workflow reflected in columns. So here I've got all the projects in my funnel. I've got Project Delta and Project Gamma. I've got Project Epsilon here that Jason is in charge of, sitting in to-do. And then I've got my Project Alpha and then Project Beta that Vicky is also working on, sitting here in progress. So right here, I can already get more of a bird's eye view about what's going on. And anytime that somebody updates information, anybody can come back to the system and see that update. I can also move things through the workflow too from this page as well. Something important to note that when you're working in this tool is that it's important to make the information valuable to people so that people want to keep it updated. So like, obviously, if I'm hopping into my project and I want to find out, sponsors and stakeholders, that's relevant information to me. Otherwise, it'll just become another system to update. Rather, you want to think of it as a source of truth. But this board that I'm looking at right now, this is only one way to view where my projects are. I'm going to move to a different product now. This is Jira. I'm going to move to Confluence, and I'm going to show you a roll-up of all of my projects into a dashboard. So I'm going to click here on this app switcher in the top corner and switch over to Confluence. When I land here, I'm going to go to my marketing team member space right here. And from there, I'm going to expand on, well, and really quick, this is Confluence. This is a collaborative wiki-style documentation tool. And it's basically a home for information and documentation for your team or for a particular process. It is highly, highly flexible. It is also linked to Jira and can pull data in from Jira. I'm going to cover more of its features later too in the last demonstration today. But here I'm going to land, I've got a thing called Project Dashboard, and then all of my projects have a reporting page living underneath them. So I'm going to go to Project Alpha, which we saw before. And now, excuse me, now I can point my stakeholders to this reporting page, and this has a curated bit of information about the project that is more consumable than that Jira issue that we saw earlier. So now I've got subjective statuses about my project, overall status, resource status, etc. And then right here, I am pulling data from that Jira issue straight into this page. So I've got project details of target start, target end status, etc. Scrolling down, I've got all of those child tasks relating to the project being pulled in here. These are the ones that we're currently working on. These are the ones that are completed. And then I've got a pie chart here showing me how I'm doing as far as to do in progress done goes on the work relating towards that project. So already I've got a bird's eye view of what's happening and what's in flight right now. And anytime someone over in Jira updates anything in Jira, it will reflect in real time on this dashboard here. Scrolling down a bit, I've also got all of that text detail from that issue over in Jira being pulled live in here as well. So I got my stakeholders, background, etc. And then at the bottom, I've got all my milestones pulling in here, as well as any reference material that I choose to attach. So again, rather than managing and manually updating presentation slides, I can just point my stakeholders here. Now that's great for one project, but what about my boss who oversees all 5 projects? Well, we built a project dashboard, and this project dashboard pulls in all 5 projects. So here we see the same board that we saw over in Jira with funnel to do in progress. Then we scroll down here and, oh, this is a bad view. Let me shrink my page. There we go. This is looking a little bit better. So this is all 5 projects, and all of their overall status is being shown in one place, all of the important information from Jira being pulled in. And now my boss at a quick glance can see, hey, I should probably focus on Project Alpha because their budget is off track and their resource status is also in danger. So maybe I'm going to focus my efforts here. Everything else seems okay for now. And then a different view of all 5 projects is this roadmap that we have constructed down here as well. So here I've got, again, pulling straight from Jira, I've got target start, target end, status. I've got overall progress listed here, and I can see in a calendar view when each of my projects are going to be delivered. So that's one example of using these tools for project management. All right, we've got 3 more case studies to go, so I'm going to plow right through these. But first, really quick, I wanted to spend just a moment talking about, well, why I'm here talking to you today. I work for a company called Expium. Expium is a platinum solution partner. And basically what that means is that's the highest tier of solution partner for the products that I'm showing you made by Atlassian. And we provide services for these Atlassian products. Specifically, the services that we do are training, consulting, and custom development. So if you need any training on any of the stuff you see here today or any other Atlassian product, we do it in person, online. We do public classes, private custom classes. As far as consulting goes, we do things like implementations. If you see a solution that you like here today and you would like help building it yourself, we do things like that. We do installations, migrations, customizations, upgrades, all those things. Lastly, we have a sister company that is a custom software development shop. And if you can't build it within the Atlassian tools, no problem. They can build an add-on or an entire other application for you as well. So basically, in summary, if you have an out-of-bounds need with Atlassian products, something that doesn't quite fit in the box, or if you don't have a system at all around anything, we can help build it. We also essentially help bridge the gap in your company between your business and tech teams. So yeah, that's the end of the commercial. Thank you for sitting through that. On to the next case study. So this is about hiring in HR. And it also applies to any team that does onboarding. And specifically, the example that I'm going to be showing today is from the insurance industry. And I'll cover more of that in a minute. So the problem is that every team and every company has unique hiring needs and processes that also change over time. So today I'm going to show you the onboarding process for an insurance client that we had. They had to hire hundreds, maybe thousands of people each year running through this process. They needed to know how full their incoming agent pipeline was. They needed to coordinate onboarding tasks across multiple teams. They needed to synchronize data to external systems like their HRIS, and they needed to make collaboration and visibility easier because it was very difficult. So the solution was a tailored workflow that provides clear next steps for everyone in the process, as well as automatically validating information in that workflow, automated creation of tasks for downstream teams, which I'll explain in a minute, compliance guardrails, and external system calls that would update systems. Lastly, we also had to build a reporting dashboard to help show where everybody was within the process. So this tool is going to be in Jira. I'm going to hop over back into Jira now. And again, this is essentially a copy of something we built. We're looking at a Kanban board here for tier 1 employees. And if I click on Zishan here and show the workflow, what we see is this is the onboarding workflow for that tier 1 group. So they started recruited. After they're recruited, they might withdraw. They move into scheduling after that, and from there they may be a no-show, or they may withdraw from the company. Then they move into training. Then they move into peer mentoring, and then finally, after all of that, they are good to go with selling insurance for this company. At any time during this onboarding life cycle, they might be terminated, hopefully after a long time, after many years with the company of selling. And what this all means is that from any status, these employees can be moved to terminated. And that actually kicks off an external request in an HR project that has lots of approvals and documentation gathering around that. So this is the tier 1 level. The tier 2 level, I'm going to switch to that tracking board here, was much more complicated. This is the tier 2 workflow, or at least an example of it. So somewhat similar, but in this situation, these people aren't just answering calls, they are selling insurance. And so they move from recruited to scheduled, then they have to get licensing in here. Now, maybe they already come licensed when they join the company. So depending on certain information being present, they could skip the licensing phase and jump right to certified. From there, they go through advanced training and then peer mentoring, but maybe they worked for the company before, or maybe they already had enough industry experience that they could go straight to peer mentoring. So also given certain information, they could jump through the workflow and jump to here. And then finally, good to go. Some things that happened in this workflow. Anytime a person changes hands between, let's say, certified and advanced training or advanced training and peer mentoring, there's automation built into this workflow that automatically updates the assignee of this person. So in other words, the person responsible for shepherding the new agent through the process, that assignee gets updated to the next person in charge. So when I move it from certified to advanced training, it would change from me to the next trainer, for example. So we had automation built in there. Also, as soon as someone hits advanced training, they now need a laptop and a phone line. So, so when they move into here, downstream tasks are automatically created in like the phone department and the IT department to make tasks in their projects to get this person a phone line, get this person a laptop, and you can see on the ticket, you can see linked issues to those to-dos, so that the current instructor can see, oh, Kelly, I see we're still waiting on your laptop, but your phone has now been provisioned. So everyone's doing their own work, but oops, sorry, I didn't mean to click on that. So everyone's doing their own work, but it's all getting updated and being made visible to everyone else in the process. Some other automation that was built in, there are required fields all the way down this process that are basically keeping up with industry compliance to make sure that they can't move into good to go unless they have certain certifications, unless they've passed certain training. Also in the ticket, history is tracked throughout. So every change made to that person in their onboarding journey, or I should say to the issue representing them, every change is tracked in history. Lastly, as soon as they're good to go, this transition also fires an update out to their HRIS system. So everything's kept in sync. This is just tracking the work of onboarding. And then finally, it just updates the system with, yes, they're onboarded, everything is good to go. We also built a separate workflow that handles termination requests that I mentioned before, and also transfer requests too, both of which manage secure information and a number of approvals from different departments. And again, the company used this workflow to onboard hundreds, if not thousands, of employees each year. So yeah, so that's one way to use Jira to do onboarding. Now, you may have a simpler process too, and obviously these workflows can be made much simpler. They could even be simplified down into something like a Trello board. If you're not familiar with Trello, you're going to see an example of it in the last example today as well. But hopefully this has given you some ideas as to how you can use Jira to centrally track. Lastly, though, this is not the only way to see this information. We built a dashboard for them as well, and this is just an example. And this dashboard is aimed at an onboarding instructor, and they can come to this dashboard and they can see right away who is assigned to them to work on. So me, the current user, is in charge of these 5 people. I got 2 tier 1 agents and 3 tier 2 agents. I can see their current status. I can then see a list of all of the people in tier 1 being onboarded and all of the people in tier 2 being onboarded down here. And then I've got 2 pie charts over here showing me, of the instructors, who has the biggest workload. So I'm only taking 16% of the workload right now, whereas Anthony's taking 40. Maybe he has a different job, but this will help us understand too if we need to redistribute the work among the onboarding instructors. And then I also have a pie chart showing the difference between tier 1 and tier 2 agents. I could also add graphs like created versus resolved charts over time to show me how my pipeline is doing. Do I have enough people in recruited to meet my demand 2 months later? Or we can hook this all up and it can update an external BI tool of your choice as well. All right, so that is example number 2. Let's hop on to example number 3. So this one is all about service desks. And it is for any team, HR, marketing, finance, legal. And so what's the problem that it's solving? Well, many teams inside companies, especially large companies, but also small companies, are really service teams. Even though it may not feel like it, they often serve a number of internal customers as well as external customers. So like marketing creates marketing campaigns that serve other departments. IT, which is the traditional one, serves IT services internally, and legal provides contract review services, etc. The business problem here is that teams often have many different channels of intake. For example, email, a boss, someone stepping into your office, or at least in 2019 that was the case, or maybe you get a phone call. And as a result of this sort of 360 degrees of intake, there's no clear prioritization. So we may not always be working on the most valuable thing. And despite everyone's best efforts, these internal and sometimes external services are often provided opaquely, with the requester wondering when something's going to be done, which can lead to them bothering you, or even worse, your boss, asking for updates. So the solution at a high level is a service desk that provides a clean intake form for work coming into your team that also keeps requesters automatically up to date with where their request is. And additionally, queues on the back end, which help your team members prioritize work and respond in a timely manner. So let's show the solution in the tools. I'm going to hop over here to the Help Center. This is where somebody would land if they were making a request anywhere in the company to a different team. And in this situation, I can search for services like need to change personal info. And how do I do that? Oh, I've got a personal information change request FAQ article right here that I could read about, and it'll tell me how to make that information change. Or if I don't want to search for what I need, I can peruse different teams of service desks. So I could hop over to IT and make a series of requests. I could hop into a facilities service desk and report a maintenance issue, request a move, request an event, or just submit a question. But today I'm going to focus on the HR service desk. When I land here, I'm immediately served up with a list of articles and policies and FAQs. So in this situation, maybe I can self-serve right away. FAQs, all right. How to request home office equipment, how to do an employee exit, how to do a new hire, how to change personal information. And from here, I can click on any one and it serves up an article right here. And this is an article that my HR team wrote. I didn't have to call up an administrator to put this article in. But let's say that these FAQs or even these policy articles, like personal leave policy, safe workplace policy, social media policy, maybe that's not enough for me. So maybe I still need to raise a request. Well, in that case, after being shown my articles, I can click raise a request. And here I can choose request work from home equipment, employee onboarding, offboarding, a change request, or submitting a question for HR. So in this situation, I'm going to submit, well, first of all, let me show you how complex this can get. So employee onboarding, we have a number of fields here: employee name, employee start date, where they located, employment type, etc. All of this information is, this was made by somebody working on the HR team. We did not have to go to an administrator to customize this form, because you want the people closest to the work customizing intake forms. You don't have to do this back and forth. So that's a pretty complex request, but let me go to a much simpler request, like a question for HR. Who is asking the question? What is my question? When can we, oh, I already typed this question last night, actually. Return to the office. If I'd asked a different question, such as, how do I change my name? This would also continue serving up articles as well. I just got married. Thanks. I submit the ticket. And me as the requester, I now have this cleaned up external view of where my ticket is. I can see a conversation history between me and HR about it. I can see that this is currently in to do, so I don't have to go ask HR. I can just pull up the ticket and see where it's at. I can also come here and look at all of my requests made in this service desk as well at any given time. So, also, by the way, all this information is secure. Only I can see the information that I request. However, if I did want to share this ticket with a team member, I could do that. And then that team member would also get automatic email updates and also be able to view this ticket to find out, where the information is. So that's on the front end. On the back end, if we hop over here into my HR Service Desk, we land here on queues, and this is Jira. And we can see that this latest ticket, how do I change my name, just landed. And basically, we just have a summary of information and which ticket we need to address first. And this is all being prioritized by our department policy of responding to all issues within 48 hours. You can see these have 45 hours, and this one has 47 hours to go, or 48, I guess, almost. And then if I click into any of these, my agents or my HR team members on the back end can get information back here. So I've got the description of the issue again. I've got the person that reported it. I can also send comments. No problem. What's your new last name? And then I can share that with the customer, and then they get an email, they respond, and then so now I'm working off of a prioritized list of work within my team. A note of caution, I think especially within HR, there might be sensitivity to that service desks, just like any other piece of technology, can be used in an impersonal way. So you definitely want to be empathetic to the user. You don't just want to, kick out automated responses, although you can set up automated responses in here if you want. But you still want to have that empathetic personal touch point, even though you're using a service desk to do a clean form of entry. These service desks often take the form of an intake project that sits next to a team's work project in Jira, acting as a gatekeeper to work going in. And then typically for our clients, we would set up automation between those projects that somebody submits a request over here and it keeps updating that person with how the ticket's going. But we've got people working on the back end over here that don't have to be bothered with the day-to-day communication with the requester. All right, so that's service desks. Again, this can work for any team you want: HR, facilities, legal, marketing, anybody. Lastly, the last example is over here. So we're going to look at centralized knowledge sharing. So this example is for all teams that use Confluence, which is a tool that we've looked at a little bit so far, or any other external knowledge tools. And the problem is that teams use many different tools and sources of information, and finding those sources can be difficult, especially if you're a new team member, or even if you're old and not old, but even if you've been on the team for a long time, and you've got a lot of different sources of information, pulling that into one place can be really valuable. So the solution is using Confluence as an information portal, kind of like SharePoint if you use that, but I would argue that Confluence is more flexible and functional. But to each his own. The point still stands that you use this as a central place for your other tools and knowledge repositories. So the solution in the tools is that we're going to look at Confluence over here, and this is back to my marketing team's space. The first thing that my team can have is a team homepage that has information about marketing. It has the latest updates for all of the knowledge in here. So if I update a page somewhere else, you can see that this information is now automatically updated here. I don't have to go and tell everybody that I updated a page. It's automatically informed. There's even a function in this tool that you can watch a page and be automatically informed anytime a change is made. Then we have team information down here, more team information down here with Vicky, my director, and a team calendar that can pull external data in. But the most important thing in this page, I think, is this frequently used resources section. And again, all the formatting of this is totally customizable. But here I've got Google Drive folders that we frequently use for brochures, logo, and swag. Or I've got frequent documents that my team is just always accessing, account passwords. And by the way, this document sits behind a firewall. Well, not a firewall, but some kind of other login method in Google Drive. So even though the link's available for everybody, only people that are permissioned in that other tool can see it. or a document for current ad pricing or trademark guidelines, or even linking to other teams' pages, such as benefits information from HR, or workplace experience information, or coaching and mentoring information. So that's a team dashboard. You can imagine whatever else you want to put into this tool. We already looked at the project dashboard. Let's hop into a new product plan. So let's say that you're using Miro, which is one of our favorite other collaboration tools. Miro is a tool. Oh, why is this loading? There it is. Miro is like it's like an onboard. It's an online whiteboarding tool, and we use it very frequently when we can no longer stand around whiteboards anymore together. And it's got so I can pull in external, marketing demo boards, a new product plan board, anything from a different tool. Same thing goes for tools like Trello. So some of you may use Trello. Oh shoot, I need to log in. All right, hold on. Let me just log into Trello really quick in a different window. Sorry, I didn't have this set up before. Log in. Are we there? This is the dangers of demoing live. All right. So this could be our marketing team's prep Trello board for a Vegas 21, hopefully, maybe, conference. And this is a live Trello board in here, so I can move everything around. But basically, this is everything we need to do to get done for our upcoming conference, pulled right here from another tool into Confluence. All right. So as you can see, Confluence provides lots of information, page history, lots of flexibility, and it's really good for just about any team that needs to pull information together. So again, all of this that I've talked about today, this is all already in tools that your company likely already has. And if your company doesn't have it, no problem. We can help get you set up, probably at a discount, actually, as a platinum solution partner. Again, the tools that I've showed today are not a replacement for systems that you already have, like an HRIS. Rather, they will help fill in the gaps. These are just work trackers and documentation tools. And if you don't have a process tool like an HRIS, these are great foundation. We've built CRMs out of these tools. We've built HRIS modules out of these tools. Before we get to the Q&A section, though, I would like to spend just a moment talking about we have other webinars that you are more than welcome to attend. All of our webinars are free, just like this one. So actually, in 7 days, we have an introduction to Confluence webinar. If you want to learn more about this Confluence tool here, we have an introduction to a service desk management in January. Then we have a 3-day Jira bootcamp for Jira administrators and power users, and the list goes on from there. If you need to find any of this information, if you come to xpm.com/events, all of that information is here. You just scroll down and you can sign up for our governance webinars, intro to Confluence webinars, or any of our classes as well. Additionally, before we get to Q&A, and I definitely want to get there because I hope there's a lot of questions. You can also contact me anytime you'd like at brian.dar@xpm.com, or find me on LinkedIn. I am more than happy to start a conversation about any of these things, because I kind of live and breathe these and I like talking about them a lot. Hopefully you do too. So thank you very much for your kind attention today. I hope that you found this valuable. And now moving on to questions and answers. So I'm going to hop over to a document that Heather has with questions. All right. All right, so Scott asked, why am I using an issue as a milestone rather than a version or release? That relates to my, where is it? That relates to my projects here. So I wanted issues as milestones. And first of all, versions and releases, no problem. That was actually our first thought to use. I know that a lot of companies don't use releases, especially if they're not in software. So I wanted something that I could pull easily into Confluence, showing information and a due date right there. This is actually a Jira macro that is using anything labeled as a milestone that pulls it in here And then my other automated reporting here ignores anything labeled as a milestone. But that's a good question, Scott. Another question, can the input information from the service desk be shared directly with an HRIS, and how would that work? Yes, if your HR, so that's a service desk question over here in this world. Yes, any information that you submit in here can easily be ported to an HRIS if that HRIS has an API, and I cannot imagine any modern software that doesn't. So we usually lean on our sister company to build those integrations. However, there are often integrations off the shelf that already exist between Jira and many other systems. So yes, no problem getting service desk information over there. An example Confluence page in edit mode. Yeah, sure. So the next question is, somebody wanted to see these Confluence pages that we made hidden in the background in edit. So this is the individual project page. So I've got a page properties report that is wrapping a table, that is wrapping a Jira macro. And then I've got an expand macro showing statuses. I've got 2 Jira macros and a Jira charts macro. And then I've got project details that are also Jira macros pulling in single fields over in Jira. And then I've got another Jira macro showing milestones and deadlines. Another question that I saw that just came in, do you offer training on all of these tools? Yes, we do. Thanks for asking. Yeah, so if you need training specifically on Confluence, no problem. We do a 1-day boot camp on Confluence, specifically around how to build dashboards like this. We also do 3-day extensive trainings on Jira administration. We also do half-day trainings for teams. And our motto really is to teach you to fish. So we help you learn how to build this so you can build it yourself going forward. Another question is there an easy way to find out what tools my organization already has if I'm in a large organization? Yeah, as partners, we can help you find that information. So if you're wondering if your large company has these tools, you can reach out to us and we can help you find that information. Let's see, other questions. Can you get all of the pie charts and waterfall project calendar on Confluence alone, or does it have to come from Jira? Confluence alone has things like a roadmap. So if you're not using Jira, there is a roadmap macro that you can drop into a Confluence page that's all manual. And you can just create bars and milestones in that roadmap macro. I still like pulling it straight from Jira for obvious reasons. Like, it's nice when a bunch of people are working over here and I can just report on it cleanly over here. As far as pie charts go, yes, there are add-ons not in the box that would allow you to make, at least as far as I know, ad hoc pie charts over there. But I think there's more power in pulling data live from work that people are doing in Jira. But yes, you can build some of this stuff standalone in Confluence as well. Another question is, we use Trello right now. Can we build a project dashboard like what we saw on with Trello? Kind of. Trello is more of like an individual team tool, and it's not so much meant for reporting. Trello does have reporting add-ons in it. They won't necessarily look like Confluence, although my favorite way to use Trello is to just drop it into a Confluence page like this. You could, of course, also use a much simpler onboarding process within Trello as well, if Jira is too much for your team. Let's see, any other questions? Also, a recording of this webinar will be put up on our YouTube channel. If you just go to YouTube and search for Expium, we have a channel with lots of other useful information, including how to do portfolio management within Jira and how to do different Jira tasks. We have an introduction to Jira Service Desk here that you can watch. So yeah. Any other questions before we close? All right. Well, thank you all very much for your kind attention today and for taking time out. I really do hope that you found this information valuable. Please feel free to reach out to us again, brian.dar@xpm.com. Hope you guys have a nice day, and thank you again.